Hello, Earthlings. Welcome to RG and the Regular Guy News. I am your host. I'm your anchor for this spectacular experience, Dan Black. And I don't know. We're going to talk. All right, welcome back to RGN, the least pretentious name in news. We couldn't be less qualified to bring you the news, but somehow more qualified than any of these jabronis out there trying to get information across. I don't know. I'm not sure how on this podcast I'm able to tell you the information that you probably need more than they're able to on a 24-hour news cycle. That being said, we are most of the time non-conspiratorial. I don't know if that's a label we're giving ourselves. That's the first time I've said that. We're just looking. I'm looking for facts, baby. And let me tell you, we're also drawn from our own personal experiences living in this world. And today, we're gonna get personal, baby. But before we get into what I'm talking about, let's just go out to the field, to the only RGN correspondent, Erin Trinity, somewhere out in the field. Let's see if we can find her. Erin. I can't hear you, Erin. Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, you cut out for a second. What are you in a tunnel or something?
Yes, I am actually.
Yeah, Erin, what's up? I'm glad we got you connected.
Hey,
Seamless
thank
connection
you.
on this podcast,
Happy
by the
to
way.
be here.
I just want to point out that this podcast, we've never had a drop connection between Erin and myself. I cannot say the same for CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. I've seen these guys have mic issues. I would just like to let know that we have better technology than these national networks.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yes. Erin, where are you reporting from today?
Oh, Dan, today I'm coming to you live from King's Cross Station in London.
Oh, you
United
stayed in
Kingdom.
foggy London town.
Yeah, well, we're under a tier 4 level lockdown here. Beginning on Saturday night. So
Okay.
I came back from my dinner in French Laundry in Napa to the UK, and now I'm stuck here.
Oh, right. You were in the UK and then you went to the French Laundry?
Yeah, I flew out for a special dinner with friends.
No,
who I can't
maskless, right?
name. Well, we're friends, so
Yeah, so no masks.
It was fine.
There's no masks at French Laundry. The elite level restaurants don't require masks. Everyone knows that.
That's fine.
As long as you're a donor to a political party, no masks required. Erin, I'm glad you're in London because we all know that something's going on over there. People are talking about people. And there's a COVID variant going on over there. And I know you're going to give us a special report, which will be all the information that we need to know about that. Before we get into that, let's talk. Whoa, that's a little preview there. But let's talk about. I just want to say this podcast is grassroots. If you're listening to this podcast every week, we're not asking for any money or anything. Just saying, hey, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Takes a second, write a review that we know what's up. These guys know what's up. And then
That's a perfect review.
Tell a friend about the show. You know what I mean? If friends looking for something to listen to, tell them about the show. I think they'll enjoy it. Cool. So, Erin, before we get to your special report, I think let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is I am very sick.
And Dan has been sick since at least last Thursday, I think.
Wednesday. I got sick after the recording of Cow podcast, like right after it, which was odd.
I mean, and recording our wrestling podcast would make anyone sick, but you got really ill.
Yeah. So I've been sick since last Wednesday. Obviously, you're thinking, let's get right into it. Is it coronavirus? I don't know. I'm not sure. I had a virtual call with a doctor, the great gentleman over at, a great gentleman over at UCLA. And by great gentleman, I can't vouch for him whatsoever. As a New Yorker, I cannot handle this West Coast vibe. Like, can we just treat anything like it matters? Can we at least can I get like a little intensity? You know what I mean? I know like my intensity is a lot of times unnecessary. Many would say egregious. Many would say off-putting. People would say unattractive.
I've definitely described it as over the top. Extra.
Classless even, I've heard. But man, like when you're on the phone, okay, you're on the phone with a doctor, uh, and you might have coronavirus. What I expect is, okay, let's go through the stats, bro. You know what I mean? Like, let's snap into action. Listen,
Yeah.
this guy was like, "Yeah, hey, corona, whatever, man. Like, if you got it, like, it's not a guy like you, 99%, you're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it." Like that, and you're like, dude. I mean,
His advice to you was don't sweat it.
but it's weird times we live in because my brain doesn't go, "Oh, thank God, this is the doctor." Like, so that's calmed me down. My brain goes, "Is this a Trump guy?" You know what I mean? Like, is this doc? Right? My brain just goes like, "Is this a Fox News guy?" Like, he could be a doctor, but still a fucking d bag, right? Like, he could still be right. Like, and oh man. Anyway, so I was put on a Z pack in case it was like bronchitis or something, you know.
Okay.
Because he was like, if it's a virus, if it's COVID or just another flu, because he's like, it's also flu season. I was like, yeah, well, I got a flu shot. I was trying to be responsible. You know what I mean?
I forgot. Yeah, you did. You got a flu shot not long ago.
Yeah, I got a flu shot, and but you know, like we say, the flu, which will be relevant to your special report later in the episode, is mutates. You know, the flu is constantly mutating. That's why we have new vaccines. Every year you take a new flu shot, you know? So because of that, the flu shots can only be like 30% or something effective, you know? Now, that being said, 30% is really great. It prevents a lot of deaths if enough people take a flu vaccine. We've been through that in that episode. There's a couple, whatever, it's probably 2 months back, where 30% effectiveness is not nothing. Now, it's not good for something like COVID that is shutting down the whole world, you know?
Right.
But anyway, so I digress. Back to my point is, he's like, yeah, it could be just, we're in flu season. Like, we're in sick season. You know what I mean? So it could be that. So I took the Z-Pack. It's clear the Z-Pack did nothing. So it's not bacterial.
You're still sick, and you've been sick for.
I've already finished the Z-Pack, which is a 5-day dose. Right. And all the Z-Pack did was fuck with my stomach. So thank you for that, doctor.
Great.
Which I really didn't need. I'm sick as a dog. And then, like, all of a sudden your stomach starts acting up, and you're like, this is like, oh, my God, just put me down. I mean, just like, when you're sick, you hang on to the things that are not ailing. Like, you really, like, so, like, I don't have, like, I'm not having any issues of, like, I have a lower appetite, but, like, I can eat. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, like, I just crushed a banana before we started. I was like, That's how I eat bananas, by the way. I crush them, which is truly the. Yeah. Is there a douchier way to say eat a banana?
I crushed a banana earlier. Yeah, crushed. That's probably as douchey as it gets.
Smashed, maybe? I don't know.
Smashed, scarfed.
I don't know. I think crushed is worse.
Totes scarfed a banana.
There's just nothing really aggro about eating a banana. There's nothing
like
really.
You crushed it? Like what? You ate it in 2 bites?
Erin, when was the last time you had a fresh banana?
Yesterday.
What a delicious item.
Nature's candy.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I love them. I put them in smoothies. I freeze them. I blend them. I'm a big.
Well, I put them in smoothies a lot because they add a nice creaminess to a shake. Everyone knows. Yeah. Many people are talking about that. But when you just eat a banana, I like a banana when it's a little bit past when it's ripe. Like I like I like a little brown spot or two.
I can't eat a brown spot on the inner banana itself, on the nana part.
No, me either.
Brown on the peel is okay. A banana tip is the organic bananas have like added banana flavor. So if you're an elite and you can afford an organic banana over a conventional one, buy the organic one.
Well, we don't all work for Bezos here, Erin. So, I mean, I don't think we can. My bananas are...
Technically, neither do I.
Mine were made out of Legos, which I thought was odd.
Oh, that's how you crushed it.
That's why. That is why I crushed it. Because I built it first.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an accomplishment. Anyway, what am I talking about? Okay, you
You
can see I'm
crushed a
sick.
banana. You didn't have an appetite, really.
Yeah, so you're like that. So then you're like, yeah, but I'm having no stomach issues, so that's good. So you hang on to these things. So when they start going, I also didn't have a cough for a long time. So let me walk you through this. So listen, I got. So let's just go through why I don't know it's corona, and then we'll go through my symptoms and stuff because I think real life stories about what your sickness is like. I think it's one of the things we're really, 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 really lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is because like we can't really get in the hospitals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, right. Also, it's just God, it's just human nature. It's like it's human nature to not to kind of be like, I'll be fine if I get it. Like, I don't know. Like
Right.
we're kind of like risk takers in that way. But anyway, so the reason I don't know if I have coronavirus yet, if I'm a betting man, I say that I do. You know, just because of the length of the sickness and the symptoms, which we'll get into. But is I got tested on Saturday, so I went to UCLA, um, and God, I don't know if I should give you this sidebar story. Yeah, all right, I'll give it to you. I
Let's hear
told you
it.
this on the live stream the other night, but I'll just
Mm-hmm.
bring it back up. I'm driving there, and then I pass a whole bunch of homeless
Tents.
tents. Yeah,
Like a little encampment, right?
it's like an encampment on the sidewalk, right? Up
Mm-hmm.
against like it looks like some kind of like park or maybe just like UCLA something. I don't know.
Yeah.
A grassy knoll of sorts. And they all have the same American flag on them. But it's still full of like junk like,
Of course.
old workout equipment, like the whole, the classic LA uh, uh you know,
All the
unhoused
amenities
lifestyle. Yeah.
yeah, an unhoused encampment offers.
Right. But they all have American flags on them, so I'm like, all right. So they're like, maybe they're trying to just. My first thought is like, maybe they're just trying to keep the cops like away. They're just
Mm-hmm.
trying to have the cops be like, they're American. It's all good.
Right,
You
right,
know what I
right.
mean?
Patriots.
Um, okay, but then I see right on the street next to them is like a bunch of Jeeps, and their backs are open on the Jeeps, and there's a bunch of people like around the Jeeps, and they've folding tables set up with like clothing on it, maybe some supplies. I mainly saw like clothing, so my guess is it's like a kind of a jacket exchange or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I mean? But none of the people giving stuff out had any PPE on. So like
Mm.
no masks, no face shields. I saw no hand sanitizer. Like it was, and we're talking about these people were not. And I would say that some of the people who were homeless did have like bandanas on, but like around their necks. Like no one
Hmm.
was covering their mouth. Not a
Right,
single person.
right.
And I
Hmm.
was like, is this a like anti-mask or like anti-vax or a MAGA homeless helping unit?
Group of do-gooders. Do you think that they're trying to spread the virus to eliminate the unhoused population?
I don't know. That's really conspiratorial. That's a,
Uh-huh.
that would be very that would it's worth exploring the idea. But
Um,
Jesus, like
yeah.
I was
I
like,
mean,
what
like
is
that's a
happening over here?
you'd want to wear like if you were doing that as just a volunteer, even not in COVID times, you would probably want to wear a mask in that situation to begin with. Like, not that you would pre-COVID, but now that we all have masks, I'd be like, yes, this is a scenario where I would want to wear a mask
Right.
because these people are pooping in buckets right here.
That yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that we like obviously we should help these people. I was just saying why not protect even
Yeah.
everybody? I'm like anyway, okay. So I was like that was really odd. And I had to drive by it twice because I got lost. Okay, so anyway.
Okay. And no masks on the second time around either.
No, it was truly just it was shocking if you saw it,
It's
you
so
know?
strange.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to get so I go to get my test on Saturday at UCLA. So that's why I passed that. God, in LA right now. So LA is like ground zero for the COVID virus. I mean, maybe London is also arguable, but we have more cases, I believe,
Yeah, we're the epicenter now.
which is kind of nuts. I was watching Kumail Nanjiani on his Instagram. Had oh God, Kumail looks like a fucking $1,000,000 now. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Kumail. I mean, he's so jacked right now. It's crazy.
He's really jacked. He's always like eating dessert and stuff too on his Instagram. So I'm wondering, like, he must really still be hitting
Because
it
I mean, I used to
pretty
work out in the
hard.
gym next to Kumail and stuff, and
Yeah.
like I know him a little bit. And it's once you get that Disney, whatever Disney does to train you,
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna reach out to him. I'm sure I know he's given a lot of, I know he's given a lot. I just feel like I gotta know what's the deal
What's the
here.
secret sauce, Kumail? Yeah, that's interesting. I went into a Kumail K hole, a Kumail
Really?
hole, looking at before and after photos because he looks so different.
And he's in his 40s, I believe, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there, what kind of like fairy dust Mickey like boops you with
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
deal there, but he's crazy.
Yeah, well, also
Crazy
whatever he's
jacked.
doing is making his face more handsome.
That's what I
So,
was looking at because I was like, what is different about Kumail's face
okay,
right
so
now than it was before? It just looks so different.
one thing I'll say is that I think that if you do take, like, I have no proof of him on any of this shit,
Yeah.
whatever, and like, and also I've no shame for it. I think that a lot of us are going to take this shit go forward, but I know Stanger has said that human growth hormone does make your bones grow and stuff, right? So I think it could
Right.
give you more defined bone structure, but I don't
it
know that
it
for sure.
accounts for like a stronger jaw, right? And also when you see like a gap between people's teeth, that has
Right,
something to do with it also, I think.
right, like the Schwarzenegger gap
Yeah. Britney Spears has one too.
from human growth hormone. I mean, she's definitely taking it also.
Unknown.
Anyway, so um, go to get. So I go to. So Kumail had this doctor on, and they were doing an Instagram live conversation. I thought it was pretty good. I was watching it last night. Before I went to bed, and he was. It was very LA specific because that's like kind of what I'm
Right.
curious about. I'm like, why LA boom so fast? As someone who lives in LA, it doesn't feel like people are so reckless here. I don't know
I
if
think
I'm just in a bubble, which I
I
sure
think
I am.
so. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, because where we live, where I live
Right.
ordinarily, like um you are kind of in this bubble up in
Right.
this neighborhood, but Mike, my husband, for example, works with a lot of different types of people, and different communities,
Right.
I think, take it a different level of serious.
Right.
So I think if you kind of ventured out into different areas, you'd see it's maybe a little different.
Yeah. So. Right. I know I'm not. LA's huge, has so many people. I have no idea what people are doing, and also a lot of this boom, what you were saying in the video, is due to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and
And I
just
think
like
people,
gatherings in general, right?
right,
Because a lot of people haven't stopped.
people couldn't resist big Thanksgiving gatherings, and it's almost like you can't blame them. Anyway, so anyway, I went to get tested. Such a long line. First of all, I was trying to make my testing appointment. There's no here we go in LA. We test through this thing called like a Curative is the website or whatever.
Hmm.
I think it's part of Core, which is Sean Penn's company. You know,
Hmm.
um, and they run these testing sites. And so normally I go to Dodger Stadium, which is pretty close to my house, and I go sit in line in the car, and it's pretty smooth. I would say this testing experience was pretty smooth, um, but I wanted to get tested as of Wednesday, and I couldn't get a test till Saturday, and that was the only test that I could possibly get. Like there was nothing else.
Right, so you had to drive across town to get it. Now, that test was for an appointment, but you also have the option of doing a walk-up test, right?
Right.
If you want to wait in line, but since you're already sick, would be
It
ill-advised
seems weird to
to
be
stand in
symptomatic in a
line.
line, right?
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
I wouldn't have been able to stand. Like, I could only do it because it's a drive-up testing site. Like, that's how I was able to do it.
Right.
So whatever, I finally went, but I mean that's days. So now I'm took it on Saturday. We're recording this on Tuesday, so that's what 3 4 days. I
Mhm.
have not gotten my test yet, and my other friend tested on Saturday and said he didn't get his yet either. So we're severely backed up on testing. Um, yeah, like, and getting a test is difficult. I also spoke to my sister-in-law, who's a nurse, and she was like, "There's really no point in you getting tested," you know. She's
Right.
like, "All you're doing is exposing people as you go," you know.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Oh, if you have drive up, that's fine," then
Right.
that makes
That's
sense.
the way to go. The line, I drive past a testing site um, on Sunset Boulevard here in LA, and the line, I've seen it before. It's been pretty long, but when I drove by when I was in town a couple days ago, it was insanely long, blocks and blocks and blocks
Where?
going. It's the one on Sunset and Echo Park. It's a core facility usually. It's set up outside the library, I think.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And so they moved the facility, I think, around the corner
Right,
on Alvarado Street, but the line goes all the way down through this gas station parking lot and around. There was the biggest crowd I've seen since COVID times was this line to get tested.
right.
It was
So
crazy.
like the thing is, yeah, it's crazy like that. So anyway, just a quick story. When I was in line waiting for a couple of observations. One thing that happened was I was waiting in line in the car. I'm sick as a dog. I'm sicker then than now. Um, so I'm waiting in line, and the line is going so far out of the actual parking lot area that like
Yeah.
we're literally just on the like service road of the highway.
Oh my God.
Like far. So everybody's making illegal U-turns to get in the line. It's like crazy. But anyway, I'm waiting in the line. I'm finally about to turn into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
A guy does a three-point turn in front of me, cuts me in line. He cut probably about an hour of the testing line in his car.
This
you
is
know?
insane. I have literally been thinking this lately. I think cutting in LA is
Yeah.
like a culture. I have seen people do egregious cuts in this town.
Right.
I've seen people run to the front of the
Not
line
in
at
this town. You're in England right now.
in that town, excuse
Right,
me. I'm
right, right.
currently in London, but in
Yeah.
LA, I've seen people run the length of the line at IKEA for no reason and just sped into the store like maybe if we look like we're in a rush. I've seen people take cuts all over the place. It's crazy.
It is kind of like LA is a little jarring that way. Like it is kind of people would. It's kind of like. I mean, it's kind of a classless town to be honest, in a lot of ways. There's money, but don't confuse that with class. Like LA is the place in my life where I've held a door for someone and they've said nothing. More times than not, they don't say like thanks for holding a door. Like that's
Mm,
like not even part of the culture, you know. They're
interesting.
but anyway, I don't know. That's my opinion, but I'm a hard New Yorker. You know what I mean? Like New
Yeah.
Yorkers, it's like they like communicate. We've talked about that when I yell at when
Sometimes
I
too much, some might
right.
say.
Yes, well, some might say that, yeah. But all right, so this guy cuts in front of me. So what do I do?
Wow.
I'm just riding the horn. I mean, I'm like, yo, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you doing? Honking my horn. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then he stops and he's like going like this and he's like, go around me. He like opens his window. He's like, go around me. So then I do because I'm not going to let him go before me. But I
Yeah.
stopped next to him before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we're both going through the window because we both might have COVID, and
Yeah.
so, and
Right.
then,
Obviously.
and then I'm just like, what do you do? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? There's a line all the way back there. And he's just like, what? What? Like he doesn't. He's pulling a routine of like, what? I don't even know what I did wrong. Like, go
I
ahead of me
don't
if you
see
need.
the line.
Well, yeah, it's like, what do you mean? You're what you did
You
is
had to pull a maneuver to get in this spot. That is not normal.
So then I was like, maybe he has a kid in the car or something, or like blah blah blah. Like, no, there was
He
nothing.
didn't have an excuse.
No, 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 nothing. And you're like, what a piece of shit. So then I told the
Oh,
employee on him, and the guy just goes like, I don't know, I didn't see it, man. Like he didn't do anything.
uh,
But I was like, what a
I don't
like,
like that. I don't like injustice like
yeah.
this. That really makes me angry.
Well, so that's my thing about LA. We've talked about this before. You know, like how I say, if you stand up to an employee in LA, they're like,
Yeah.
they're like, they can't believe it. It's like,
Hmm.
they're like, wait, what? What just happened? Like, normally I say or do whatever, and no one does anything.
Right.
So anyway, I yeah, so whatever. That I just had to kind of let it go. So I'm just going through the testing
Let it
set, I'm going
go.
through. Then I start feeling bad about it, because then I start being like, yo, like I am like honking like an idiot and being all Guido like at a like COVID testing site. You know what I mean? Like,
I would, but yeah, but that's serious. This isn't
right?
like a drive-in, a movie theater. You know what I mean? Like
I
you're
know, but
getting tested.
since I've been here, I've been conditioned to like I feel bad like when I act up. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For like how
Anyway,
long? 2 seconds.
so I get into the line for the COVID test, okay, and then we'll get
Mm-hmm.
into like my symptom stuff.
Okay.
So we get, and it's like they take a parking lot to maximize space. They make it snake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're like driving a snake thing,
Mm-hmm.
but the cars are pretty close together because of that setup. You know? So you're like, all right, I'm going through this thing, listening to my radio, whatever. I start realizing like everyone's windows are open. What is wrong with these people? Like people, cool guys, like arm out the window and the wind like down, no masks.
No masks, singing,
You're at the
laughing.
COVID testing site. Like, what the fuck is
Mm-mm. I
wrong
want
with
to
you?
be in a sealed chamber.
Right.
I want that airlock technology,
I'm already sick, and I put on the like
circulation thing.
circulation
Yeah.
device. You're like, these people are just like, no care in the world. Both two windows open, just acting like they're going to the movies or something. I'm like, what is happening
The
here?
droplets are just like crossing through cars.
Yeah, and I'm waiting the whole time for a convertible to show up. I was like,
In
please
that
for the
town,
story, give me a convertible.
yeah, yeah, no doubt.
But no convertibles showed up. But I also
Okay.
didn't see any convertibles with the top up either. So
Okay.
it remains to be seen if yeah. Can you imagine? They definitely have had to be like, "Hey, sir, you need to put your convertible top up."
Yeah, if we get an agent, maybe we can send someone to a testing site to monitor convertibles.
We could yeah, we could send someone undercover.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, whatever. Got the test. By the way, it was still took like not that much longer than an hour and change. It's a little longer than normal, but they run a really smooth testing operation over there.
So, did you do the nasal swab or the cheek swab?
It's the cheek swab, the mouth one.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. Well, that's the one they give at the drive up. They like give
Mm-hmm.
you the instructions. You cough and then you wipe it all around. Like you go gums, cheek, under the tongue, man, camera, woman,
Uh-huh. Woman, chair.
TV,
Mm-hmm.
person,
Wow,
man, camera, TV.
you're so smart. You're so
Yeah,
smart.
so smart, so smart,
So
so
smart.
smart. Oh man. Anyway, so okay. So whatever, I get the test, but so I haven't gotten the results yet. So anyway, in terms of sickness, just want to say, very odd because I tested negative. So before I just give a little backstory, I had been working on a commercial shoot, so I had tested and was quarantining leading up to that shoot.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I tested negative midweek before it, PCR and rapid, and then I tested negative for rapid on the day of the shoot.
Okay.
So
And the shoot was on what day?
that was Sunday. So I got sick Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, did I get it if I got sick, was that on the shoot? Also, if it's not COVID, then that makes sense. Then I could have got it anywhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And after you did the commercial,
Yeah.
did you go anywhere? Well, you came to my house in
I
your
came to
car.
your house in a plastic shield,
Yeah, I wore the shield, thankfully.
but I didn't
But
go in your house, though, by the way. I was
no, no,
outside
in a
dropping you off
car,
something from my car
handing
window.
something through the window.
Yeah.
But did you go anywhere else in the intervening days?
No.
Okay. So it
So,
stands to reason you did catch it on set.
right. Oh no, I did. I went to the gym for 2 days. Uh, but my point is that we wear masks and there's distance and stuff and outdoor elements to it. So what I'm saying is, did that's what Monday, Tuesday. How long does it take to start showing symptoms when you get it?
Well, they say it could be 2 days or 2 weeks.
Oh, I thought it was like 5 days.
I don't know. I think it's 2 days to 2 weeks.
So it's
Depends
possible I
on
got
what
it
you
after the
take.
shoot. You know what I mean? It's
Right, right.
I don't really know, but I've been wearing masks and I was quarantining for a while. Anyway, the point is, I mean, I haven't done any flying or anything in
Yeah, two
2020.
to 14 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
Wow. So 2 days. If it's 2 days, then that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I also checked in. No one was reporting any sickness or anything that I was
Oh,
around
okay.
on those 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that being said, they could be asymptomatic, right?
Right, right. And they just, yeah.
Okay. So anyway, let's just get so yeah. So okay. So anyway, let's get into my experience with COVID because I think that's really interesting. Because look, uh, you hear it all the time, even from my doctor, like 99.8% you're going to be okay. But I'm trying to
Yeah.
tell you guys, if I have it, it's an if. Let's just go under the assumption that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever this is, you do not want to get this. Okay, this is as whack as it gets. So
And
don't be
look,
short-sighted
yeah.
don't be short-sighted about like I'll survive. That doesn't mean
But
yeah, you'll
that bar
survive.
is so low. Like, I
Yeah.
won't die. Like, that's the,
Yeah.
like, come on. Any viral infection or disease, like, you don't want it and don't want to risk getting it.
So Aaron, right. So the way it kicked off is the worst thing was the first like 3 nights, and now I'm going on almost a week of sickness. And the first 3 nights were like temperature ridden. Like that was like I was fucking freezing cold. So I mean, like to the point where I was wearing gloves. I live in Los Angeles, California, people. Okay.
Yeah, and I do too. And I can confirm that it's been in the 70s, 80s. It's, you know,
I'm in my house wearing my winter jacket and gloves on my couch with a blanket, like freezing. And I
oh
was
my
cold to
God.
the point where like I could putting my hands underwater would just be like killer. Like it would just make me so cold.
And it's uncomfortable too. Like, did you have like a body ache situation where like it's
So
hard to move? Because that compounded with the chills and everything is a
yeah, I had
real
the chill.
drag.
The chills were like I had the chills like real bad. That was
Uh-huh.
my main. That was my main symptoms, like chills. But I had no body aches.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I was able to eat a meal a day. Like I wasn't no throwing up or anything. So I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, whatever, that's right. And I was like, I'm not coughing, but like I would cough a little bit, like a little bit.
Yeah.
So I had like 3 or 4 nights of that. So I take Advil, then my temperature would go down, and I'd be like so sweaty, and then I'd wake up like burning hot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Then it's like, oh shit, everything's so hot. I got to take off all this clothes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then I could never find a comfortable temperature. Like never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had norovirus last
Yeah.
year
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
experienced something very similar with the temperature where blankets, sweaters, fall asleep, wake up. I'm so hot. I feel like I'm dying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a constant like
Oh
back and
my God.
back and forth. So anyway, whatever. I'm like, so I had that for a little bit. So that was like 4, 5 days of that, like just like at night. And then like the
Ugh.
thing is, you start going. I don't know what is it when you're sick. Like I don't want to watch any more TV. Like I can't watch any more TV. Where you're like, you're like, I feel like I get like I'm watching TV. I'm so angry at the program or something. Like you're like something, and I'm looking around the TV like there's gonna be this magic television program that I'm gonna want to watch, and it's gonna calm me down and comfort
Yeah,
me, and
nothing
it
feels
doesn't
good.
exist. Yeah,
Nothing
nothing
feels
feels good.
good.
Terrible. So anyway, you guys know it's what it's like being sick. Here's like the
Yeah.
curveball of it. So you're like, all right, fine. I'm gonna get through this part. So yeah, so like 4 or 5 days later, my temperature is non-existent really at this point. I don't think, And I was starting to get to like I didn't have my thermometer until I ordered it. By the time I got it, I was only showing 100 max,
Only. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't know what was going on before that. I'll never know.
Right.
I mean, is chills mean temperature?
Well, I don't think so because I think you can feel really cold, but your
Right.
body while your temperature is going up, and just because you feel hot, I don't think it means that your temperature is that high.
Right. So yeah, it was really confusing. And so, okay. So then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm out of I feel like I'm out of the zone. I'm going to start getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Then I start waking up. Now the aches start. My back feels like when I wake up now that I did like a bajillion deadlifts the night before. Like my lower back
Wow.
aches. So like this thing is like unrelenting. And now the cough is finally seeing its zone. And now I have like strep throat essentially, like
Ugh.
killer
Yeah.
throat. You know?
Is the cough a dry cough? The
I don't
signature
know. You heard
COVID
me
dry
coughing. I
cough?
think so. I mean,
I mean, are you producing anything when you
yeah.
cough? Okay. Well,
I mean, some, but not that much.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay.
know what I mean? When I've had like bronchitis, it's like a lot of fluid that comes out.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
like not that much. So
Okay.
I don't know. Does dry cough means that's not congestion based?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean? So mine's
Yeah.
congestion based. So I don't know. You know? But what I'm saying is that like I think I don't. So then I woke. So I don't see myself having no symptoms for. I think these symptoms are going to go on past when I'm done being contagious. So if it is COVID, I'm done contagious on Christmas Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like 10 days. They say CDC guidelines is 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So something like Christmas, whatever. But they're like, yeah, you can still have symptoms and not be contagious anymore. So you're like, fuck. I'm starting to get in the zone where I'm like, is this shit going to go away? You know?
Oh, I know. Well, I have that mentality every time I get sick where I feel so bad or
Right.
it's just like been going on for so long. I'm like, oh, this is just my life now. Like,
Right.
this is just how every day is going to be.
That's
So,
what happened on my 5th day being sick. Like
yeah.
the first couple of days, I'm like, all right, you're sick, whatever. It's kind of terrible, but also I guess it's chill too. And then you're like, you know what I mean? But then I
Yeah.
was just like, oh no, this is just what I'm doing. Like this is my life now. You know?
I know that feeling. But who's to say? I mean, time will tell. And I guess once you get those test results, maybe you'll have a better idea of what to expect.
Okay, but here's the curveball, Erin.
Yeah,
The
curveball.
curveball is like I woke up this morning and I look in the mirror and I'm like, I have a little patch of my beard that's not growing.
This sounds like this could be COVID based because there's all sorts of weird shit that.
Like it's so tiny, you probably won't even see it.
Oh, I can see it.
Where?
It's like right
Here.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tiny. And I'm like, oh shit. I
That
hope
could
that
be
doesn't
like
get
one
worse.
of those weird COVID things, like
Yeah,
affects hair growth.
I know. I'm like freaking out. Hopefully, but I didn't lose hair or whatever.
It looks pretty full.
All right. Anyway,
You have
yeah.
some
So I'm
stuff,
like,
but
now I'm in this next zone where I was like, for a while I was just like, oh, I gotta just push through the sickness part. The doc's like, you're fine. And now I'm like noticing a little thing on my fucking face.
well, there's so many. Like I heard that there's this thing called it like affects your toes, like COVID toe. Have you heard
Oh
of
right.
this?
Yeah.
Like it causes toe pain. Like
Yeah.
that's
I
really
don't have
random.
that.
So who knows?
Yeah. Well, first
COVID
off,
beard.
we don't know if I have COVID, so I don't know. And this might just be. It's not. It might also just been there for a while. I don't know. I doubt it. I feel
Now
like
you're
I would
just like
notice.
seeing everything. Like oh
Right.
my god.
So anyway, the point is, this fucking thing's a mind fuck, and the cough is ramping up when it's coming down.
hmm
Take care of yourselves, guys.
Oh.
Cancel your Christmas plans. Whatever. It's not fucking worth it. How fast do these years go anyway, guys? I mean,
I
Jesus
know.
Christ. You know what I mean? Like every day, it feels like it's Christmas. every minute. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
You can spare one Christmas. It's fine.
that's right. If I can miss a WrestleMania, you guys can miss a Christmas.
Ugh.
But anyway, I just wanted to share my story with you guys. That this is like it's ongoing. It's starting to get a little scarier than I would like, but I do feel okay now. Like I'm able to kind of get to sleep. I'm more, if anything, it's more the I used to now I like I have somebody walking the dogs right now. I used to walk the dogs, so that was like me getting out of the house. I would grocery shop, like all these little things. So I'm very much just locked in the house. So
Yeah.
that's more of the craziness of the whole thing. Is that like
Right.
whatever was getting me by in this weird year, like those walks and blah blah
Yeah, or
blah.
like going to the supermarket.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like doing a workout or whatever. If you need to go to a run for anything, but like now it's like even if I want to, I'm like worried about infecting people, so it gets
Yeah.
very. So anyway, I hope that helps people with stuff. I think we can move on to Erin because this will tie into coronavirus. But we move on to your special report, Erin. Let's get that special report.
All right, Dan.
All right, Erin.
All
What
right,
is going
Dan.
on in the UK?
Well, if you didn't know, over the weekend in the UK, we returned to a tier 4 level lockdown. So you may or may not have seen in the news, people in London were fleeing the city at the announcement of the new tier 4 level lockdown.
I
Originally,
did. I saw this guy. I saw kind of an awkward
yeah,
looking guy running through the street. He kind of was like,
he was like kind of
the
like,
women loved him.
dre-
The
he
women
was,
loved this guy.
and he was like dressed in like really dated garb.
I thought that was maybe some kind of protective coat, like a little crushed velvet.
Yeah, velvet is a
Yeah.
great barrier for the virus, but
Oh, right, 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 right,
you
right,
might
right.
not know that. But
Okay,
so
okay.
people were fleeing London on trains to get out of the city because originally there was going to be a few days of relief from lockdown where for Christmas, but Boris Johnson announced, "Sorry, everyone, Christmas is canceled. We're going back into tier 4 lockdown." So people were packing themselves onto trains to get out of the city. And the little lady who talks to you on the tube said, like, if you're uncomfortable being on the train when it's this crowded, ride at your own risk because they were packed. So trains out of London overnight were sold out. And all of this was the result of a new COVID variant known as B.1.1.7, which is currently spreading throughout the UK, specifically in the southern UK. This variant is estimated by epidemiologist Neil Ferguson, estimated to be 50 to 70% more contagious.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so the good news is that this
Right,
mutation of COVID is not a new supervirus, but one of many mutations that this virus has taken over the course of time. So this specific variant originally surfaced back in September, and it's interesting because researchers have found that this variant has a higher number of mutations than other variants that have come up so far. This
right.
one has 23 different mutations. So this, like I said, is spreading in southern England, and it's now replacing previous variants of the virus that were showing up there. So this one is recurring more now. Yeah. At the moment, there's
Right,
no evidence, zero evidence to suggest that this variant causes more serious illness. So it's the same old virus that we all
right.
know
Just
and
more
love,
contagious.
just more contagious based on the mutations. One interesting thing is that a South African variant of the virus that has been found and studied shows one of the 23 same mutations that B.1.1.7 shows.
Right.
And the South African variant of the virus causes carriers to have a higher viral load, which in other non COVID viral diseases may lead to more severe symptoms. So this is just one of 23, but And also in South Africa, they're still researching this. But in theory, it could, if it's leading to a higher viral load, if this mutation was the same as what we're seeing in South Africa, it could be worse. But this is all hypothetical. As of right now, there are no cases, no reported cases of this variant in the US, but it is possible. So the UK has like super strict and they're really closely managing and monitoring these cases,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that it hasn't snuck into the US yet, but it just means that if it has, it hasn't been reported and we haven't noticed yet.
Right.
Um,
Well, because
and
the flights to UK are not shut down or anything.
not between the US and the UK.
Right.
Other parts of Europe,
Right.
it's a no-fly zone. But
Right. 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 Right.
and the other
What's the
piece,
logic there? Because even Fauci was saying, my brain wanted to be like, oh, that's a Trump thing, but you said even Fauci wasn't saying we should do it.
I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
my logic would be like, well, if Europe is doing it, the US should do it too. But I have no idea.
Right.
Maybe we're pretty far gone at this point. But
Right. But
the
why even? Yeah,
other,
that variant's probably in the from the doctor I was watching on Kumail
yeah,
thing. They're saying that variant's probably already in the U.S.
yeah. I mean,
We
if
just
it's
don't know
just
yet.
if it's Southern England and
Right.
London that are the problem, and we're still doing transatlantic flights to any part. All it takes is one person, right, to bring it here. So it's
Right.
definitely possible, but it still hasn't been reported or surfaced in the
Right.
US yet. The one other good piece of news is that this variant has no bearing on the effectiveness of the vaccine. So the odds of a mutation ever occurring that would render this vaccine ineffective are super low. Of course, it is possible, but scientists are saying like it isn't likely to happen. So something to keep an eye out for. I don't know. This epidemiologist who estimated that it's 50 to 70% more effective, I don't know really what study that's based on or how they figured that out, but it is spreading faster.
Right.
So we'll see.
So the other thing is that they don't know yet. This is not something they know yet, but
Mm-hmm.
they're saying that if it's mutating like this, then the odds are that it's gonna act more like a flu than we, I don't know, not even expected, than we knew or whatever,
Mm,
and then we
yeah.
might we might need like new coronavirus vaccines every year. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Or like
sure.
every 2 years. I don't know how we won't know how rapidly that happens, but there is a chance that it'll be like that kind of a situation. You know?
Right. I guess it just
Because
depends on how it continues to mutate and spread.
mhm,
But I don't know, again, the research or the science, but the one quote from a researcher in the New York Times said that the odds are very, very low of this vaccine we have being rendered ineffective by
yeah,
this mutation. But I guess if it mutated enough and changed enough, it's possible, but it just doesn't seem likely at this point.
yeah. Well, it seems like what viruses do is they like do whatever they can to survive. So, so it, my guess is like they specifically brought up the measles in the interview I was watching, which we always know is like the most effective.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't see any measles because it doesn't mutate. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
so the fact that this does mutate is annoying, but they were also like, we can calm down about it because it might just mean we need more shots and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Down the
Yeah.
line. So anyway, cool. I mean, not cool, but Jesus,
Yeah.
this is like unrelenting. It's like as
Oh,
long
and
as
another thing I wanted to share that I learned about this new variant is that it one thing that they're noticing is that it affects children in a different way than the regular old COVID-19 does. In fact,
right,
it's more transmissible in children and it makes them as contagious as adults. So that's a fun new addition to this variant of the virus.
really.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. What's next? I mean, Jesus
Hide your
Christ.
kids, hide your wives, you know?
I mean, yeah. Oh my God. Um, Erin, there's my cough. Beautiful. Before we go, I think I want to dive a little into the stimulus bill. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, here's my question: what we do on RGN, right? I know this week was a little different because I was speaking about my personal sickness, and thank you for dealing with it. I don't know. Hopefully, it was helpful to you guys. I'll let you guys know the status of my test. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting because I've been staying pretty healthy throughout this quarantine. I mean, my eating's been a little off. You know what I mean? Because I've
Hmm.
been like, it's not like I'm not auditioning that much. You know, I had just
Yeah.
started auditioning a lot more virtually before I got sick. And you know what I mean? I'm not putting on my clothing really. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
it's like kind of weird, you know. But ultimately, I've been like lifting and getting stronger throughout the whole year.
Uh huh.
I wonder this has affected me pretty severely. You know,
Yeah.
I wonder if I would have been way worse off without that, or if it just doesn't matter. It's more based on like my age and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Well, it could have something to do with your age, and you don't have any pre-existing conditions,
Right.
right? And
Because we keep closing all the gyms is why I'm saying that. I'm
yeah,
like, is that like you know?
yeah. Well, and it stands to reason if you've been working out a lot and staying healthy, and the virus affects a lot of obese people,
Yeah.
maybe the fitter you are, of course, you're still susceptible to the virus, but maybe it helps you, um, your body, like in this like battle
Right,
with the
because it's
virus.
interesting because it's like I feel like with the amount of, I guess the reason I bring this up and this will actually tie nicely into the stimulus talks is like I guess I feel like America, we're living like the richest country in the world,
Hmm.
and you're like we're giving out all this money. You're like, why not give money to these gyms to help them like rent parking lots? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like pay for memberships and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could do stuff where people could like give away for people to not put on 50 pounds this year. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I
Like,
mean,
God
like that
forbid.
was
You know?
Michelle Obama's whole thing. Like, she obviously couldn't, like, oh, she noticed obesity was a problem when her daughter was told at the doctor that she had too high of a BMI at such a young age. So,
Right.
you can't really tell adults, like, who are set in their ways what to do.
Right.
But her whole thing was addressing the childhood obesity epidemic. So, 8 years ago, those kids who were growing up at the time maybe are on a better track
Right. And I
now than
get
they
it.
would
It's
have
kind of
been.
like it's kind of a losing issue. Like Michelle Obama got so much shit for it. For like you come off as, this is the shittiness of this country. It's like you come off as like elitist and pretentious if you start talking about being healthy. Because we can't like handle anything in a vacuum. Everything's like,
Right.
all right, well
Well,
we
I mean, her battle was to like, lobbyists, like the people who make the school lunches or like
right.
billion-dollar industries. So like she was stacked against that, soda companies, all that stuff. But they did make a lot of improvements by way of like the Let's Move thing that she had and putting calorie counts on menus and
Right.
things, which I think hold people accountable. So, you can't do as much as like tell people to work out because then you seem like don't
It's like
tell me to work
elitist.
out. Yeah, but
Because it's like if you're like, oh, I use my Peloton, people are like, I don't have like 3 grand for a Peloton or whatever.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. 0% financing on a Peloton though. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get one.
Well, Erin's a coastal elite. She has a Peloton.
I do. I rode
Um,
it earlier.
yeah. Earlier this week when you were back
No,
in
I fly with
LA.
it.
Oh,
I
you
fly
flew
with
with the
it.
Peloton.
Yeah. Mhm.
Is that
Yep.
your seat on the airplane? They lock
I
it in.
I buy the two seats next to me in the row on Virgin Atlantic and I just plop it down.
Right. Okay. So, so anyway, let's talk about what's in this stimulus bill.
Mhm.
Um, um. Okay. So I had a bunch of, I came up with a couple articles. I looked into more than two, to be honest. I always
Mm.
promise to go too deep. Um, but here's just what's in it. I'm trying to figure out because universally this bill is like panned, right? From both sides. I don't think there's any Republican who's like this bill's good or any Democrats who are like this bill's good. They're like this bill is a start, and they all like just know it needed to happen, so they push this thing through. But I'm trying to figure out like what's bad about it. I'm also trying to figure out why some stuff's necessary, why it's not. Like it's very confusing. So let's just break it down and talk about it.
Mhm.
So one of the big things is well, the whole bill was $900 billion, whatever. I don't know what that means. Um, it offers direct stimulus checks. Okay, that's like the main thing here, and it's $600 to individuals. Um, it's half the amount of those first $1,200 checks.
Yeah.
Eligible families will receive an additional $600 per child, which is $100 more than Congress gave families in the first round. And the payments start phasing out for individuals whose AGI is more than 75,000. And if you're making more than 99,000, this is just for single people. I don't know. Whoever wrote this article is a complete moron. Why only include the threshold? I'm a CPA, so why include
Right.
thresholds just for single people? It's just that's a half-written
And is
article.
this based
And
on your 2019 income still?
this will be based. This I just know from doing stuff. This is based on whatever the last thing you filed is. So if you
Right.
didn't file a tax return, they go by what they have. So
Right,
like
right.
when they did this earlier this year, 2019 tax deadline was extended to July. So a lot of people didn't file a 2019 tax return, even though it was past April. But also some people are on extension, so they just go by your 2018 then.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of game that if you're like, fuck, I'm going to make way more money. But we're talking about a small population of people who had a huge boost from 2018 to 2019.
Right, right.
Um, uh, yeah. But it says okay, so amount will be based on 2019 income.
Okay.
But most people by now should have done it. But I think if you didn't file, they go by 2018. But it doesn't say that here. But they also didn't write the MJF, the married filing jointly. MJF, MFJ.
Mm-hmm.
Those who filed their 2019s will receive their money automatically. So that'll go through direct deposit. However you got whatever you gave when you did your tax return. Most states now. Actually, I don't know the federal. Yeah, they're able to pay you most of the time through direct deposit. You
Yeah.
know. Undocumented immigrants who don't have social security numbers remain ineligible for the payments. But in a change from the first round, their spouses and children are now eligible as long as they have social security numbers. So I guess like dreamers can get it.
Uh-huh. Okay.
All right. So anyway, here's the deal. Let's just talk about this for a second. Let's just talk about what this actual money is. $600 per eligible person. You got a family of 5, right? You're getting $3,000
Uh-huh.
in a week by direct deposit. Here's my question: if you're not on unemployment, I guess I'm like so. I mean, I'm all for this, by the way. I'm not fighting against it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm saying like people need this money, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
is this mostly because some people their earnings have gone way down, so they're not eligible for unemployment? It's people who's like your salaries have been halved or something yet. Because here's what. Let me finish this thought.
Right.
This stimulus payment's coming in, but they've also done which we'll get into, they've increased unemployment benefits, right? Which we'll talk about, and then they've also expanded the Payroll Protection Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what am I missing? What is the gap here between if it sounds like they're paying your employers to be able to keep you on payroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they've expanded unemployment if you don't have a job. So then what is the stimulus check for?
That's just this. It's just money to stimulate the economy, right? Go out and
Right.
spend it.
So what I'm saying is that I guess I'm just playing devil's advocate here, which is like people are like that's not enough money, and you're like, but isn't it on top of those other two things? So this is just some fast cash,
Yeah,
right?
I think just
So if you're a
fast
family of
cash.
5, you're getting $3,000 but your unemployment benefits are going to keep going if you're unemployed, and then your employer, yeah, you know why? It's because these programs don't fucking work, right?
Right.
Like these payroll protection acts, like man, that's what I should have looked into for this. Maybe I'll look into this for next episode. It's like, what are they? How are they keeping track of? Like last time they did this PPP act, like they gave Shake Shack like $40 million or something,
Yeah,
right? $10 million.
Scientology took like a huge loan.
Right, right. So how are they like Scientology's not paying people properly? You know.
No, no, never.
So this
They
is like
received at least 4 million in
right.
PPP loans. It should be noted.
But I'm saying this is probably what the Republicans argue. I don't even know because it's so fucking unclear. When I'm watching the news, I'm like, why is it? What's going on here? I don't get it. They had a Republican senator on, and they were talking to him. He's a guy who he was getting a lot of shit. He was on CNN, and they were giving him shit because he just got the COVID vaccine, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, why would you get it? You know, yeah,
Right.
after like all your tweets about closing down and all this stuff, like
Yeah,
now
no
you get the
shit.
COVID-19, now you get it, and then you have guys like what's his name Hogan, the Republican governor in Maryland, who's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not getting the vaccine until people who are vulnerable get it,
Right. Right.
because he's like I'm 50 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That guy doesn't look healthy though. But anyway,
I don't know what he looks
what's
like.
his name? Larry Hogan. Hulk Hogan's brother, by the way.
Yeah,
That's a fun fact.
obviously.
That's a fun fact. Don't look up if that's true, but it is true. Um, so I'm saying he was arguing. He's like, well, God, I know this is like confusing, but he was like, well, we rely too much on the federal government for funding. He's like, local and federal and local and state authorities are taxing authorities, and they could help their constituencies more than the federal government one size fits all model. Like they know more people want through their own tax money.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, all these states are claiming they have no fucking money, like that they're going broke and they need the money, they need federal assistance. They're saying they need it. So who's telling the truth? And why is someone not really challenging this guy when he comes on there? Like, is he full of shit? I'm so confused.
Right. Well, we know that we do all pay local taxes, right? Like when I lived in Philly, like PA
Right.
takes money, the city takes cash, like, but
You probably get taxed up the ass in Philly.
yeah, that's true.
Right.
Everyone says that, like you get
Right.
taxed super high there. But so I don't know. I don't know what the truth is, and if they have because like what would they be able to offer if the federal government can only offer individual $600? Like I can't imagine what like your town would be able to give you.
Right. So, all right. So anyway, and we've had no federal coordinated response. So I'm just like, I guess I'm trying to figure out who's the bad guys. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out who's the snake. Okay. And look, it feels like it's more Republican, but I honestly don't really know what I'm talking about because I'm like, I have a bunch of more questions. Anyway, let's keep moving along. We'll see if there's anything. So unemployment benefits. The jobless will receive $300 weekly federal enhancement in benefit for 11 weeks from the end of December through March 14th under the deal. The amount is half of the earlier federal boost, which ran out at the end of July. Also, the agreement calls for extensions of two other pandemic unemployment programs that were created in CARES Act. Both are currently set to expire at the end of the week, affecting an estimated 12 million people. So, um, the pandemic unemployment expands jobless benefits to get and also it's going to help gig workers. So it's looking like so it's looking like unemployment's going to be all right. So unemployment, it used to they were giving people $600 a week. Now they're giving them 300 for 11 weeks. The cool thing about this to me is like, look, we can talk about the amount of money here, $300. I mean, fuck. Some people are going to be fucked. There's no like cure all number,
Right.
for it. I'm always like give people more because
Yeah.
it's their tax money,
Well, $600. Yeah.
But
Right.
it's cool that it goes through March 14th and vaccines are being administered.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
you're like,
That gives you some like a bit of a runway going into like, of course we all won't have vaccines till later, but at least
right.
they're like going to intersect at some
But
point.
we need a bill that goes all the way through August, probably, right?
100%. And
Right?
we need more money. Like,
Yeah.
I just, the $600 thing is insulting, especially like, of course, I guess you can't really compare the two nations, but New Zealand, they've been getting $600 a week through this, they don't have COVID anymore, but they've been getting $600 a week. Like, other nations are doing a heck of a lot more to support individuals than we are. And I don't know, it's just $600, especially compared to it's like a 50% reduction. It just seems like nothing.
Right. Um. Yeah. So, right. No, I mean, trust me. I'm always on the side of giving more, especially it's tax money, and that actually brings me to my next. Before we move on, my biggest thought of this whole thing, which is unemployment benefits,
Mm-hmm.
they're still taxable. So, like, unemployment benefits are taxable. They're always taxable. That's just part of the deal. But like, yo, government, fuck you.
Right.
There should be huge tax credits and cuts coming, like, they're coming through here. People should not have to pay any tax on emergency money the government's giving them.
Right.
The people are going to start owing a ton of taxes on this money. If you were on unemployment all year, you think people, when they were destitute, were like putting aside their estimated taxes and stuff?
That's crazy. No.
Yeah. So I that's what I don't get with this government. It's like, this is like, what kind of con is this? It's like, this is your money that you're asking back when the government's not working, which is right now. You know?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so unemployment benefits, and yeah, they should give people more money in their pocket for right now. Just to, first off, yeah, stimulate the economy. And I saw Mark Cuban was talking about like making stimulus money on like expiring and make it expire, so people have to spend it to boost the economy. You know,
That's an interesting thought.
I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't love that idea, but sounded interesting. All right, small business loan. Here's the bill would reopen the paycheck protection program, so that some of the hardest hit small businesses can apply for a second loan. The program stopped taking applications for the first round in August. The second loans would be limited in those with fewer than 300 employees that have seen drops of at least 25% of revenue during the first, second, or third quarters of 2020. It would also reduce the amount a borrower can receive from 10 million to 2 million. Give businesses more flexibility to how to spend the money and simplify the forgiveness process for loans under 150,000. Uh, and it carves out $12 billion for minority-owned businesses. It also expands eligibility to more nonprofits. So this doesn't answer my question, which is, it's paycheck protection. That means that I feel like every company takes this and then furloughs their employees, so they end up going on unemployment. So, right? So
Yeah.
there's no mention of the fact that, yeah, okay. And then they have a couple other things like grants for theaters and other live venues, which is really cool
Mm-hmm.
because these places are just done. You know,
Right.
uh, these grants will be awarded to places that have faced 90% revenue losses, which has been all theater. You
Right.
know, uh, the bill would extend until January 31st the eviction protection set to expire at the end of the year. It will also provide $25 billion in rental assistance to individuals who lost their source of income during the pandemic. But, like, how do you get any of this stuff? Do you know anyone
I
getting rent
don't know.
money?
No. I know people that aren't paying rent, but I
Yeah.
don't.
Uh. Okay. I mean, whatever. Here's the biggest thing that's the stuff in it. Here's the biggest thing not in the bill, which we talked about, and then this will be the last thing we cover. It's like, what's not in the bill is state and local government funding. The
Mm-hmm.
final deal does not contain any direct aid to state and local governments, dropping an initial call for $160 billion in assistance as based on for good faith negotiations. The provisions have been most contentious of the negotiation. House Democrats provided $87 billion in the relief bill that passed the chamber in May to help state and local governments struggling with lower tax revenues due to the pandemic, because they're not bringing in tax revenues. You know, there's no
Mm-hmm.
sales tax. So, but Republicans have resisted allocating additional aid beyond 150 billion provided in Congress. Yeah. So the Republicans are not into it. Wow. In a joint statement Sunday night, House Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer pointed out that the final agreement would provide emergency resources for schools, $27 billion for state
Right.
highways, struggling transit authorities, Amtrak, and airports, and $22 billion for health-related expenses of state, local, and territorial government. Okay.
Pelosi also said $600 is a significant amount for many American families. It does not seem that significant.
Yeah. Well, it's a low amount, but if it's a family, like I'm saying, if your family, it's more. It's 1,200. If you have to listen, it's not a lot of money.
It's
There's no
not a lot
question. It's
to cover like
no,
the
no, no.
last
I'm not
eight
defending this amount of money.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is absolutely. And the other big thing about it, now I'm thinking is like they're saying that a lot of these unemployment offices like are really difficult to deal with. So like
Yeah,
this
no
money is
doubt.
like while people are trying to get through. So anyway, I just don't know why this United States of America, it's so hard to. We got to pass something until like August. You know,
Mm-hmm.
give people some clear guidance.
Right, because we're
And
going to be back in the same scenario in a couple months, right?
right,
Hmm.
because this is not going away until everyone gets this vaccine, which we're not getting until most people are not going to get till Q3 of 2021. So it
Yeah.
feels like we have this light at the end of the tunnel. So that's gonna make everybody act. They'll act better if you take care of them. You know.
Right, right.
Anyway, all right, Erin. I mean,
All
look, it's
right, Dan.
complicated. It's
It's so complicated.
it is complicated because you're like, I guess I don't understand this shit enough to know like why they can't just give people, you know,
I know.
Sanders was like $2,000 a month or something like help people out while they can't work right now. They're worried people are going to be disincentivized to work, but like we're shutting down more and more. So I don't know what they're thinking,
I
you know?
Yeah.
And now we got a new variant. And I'm sick.
And
Everybody,
Dan's sick.
thanks for tuning in this week. Crazy episode and crazy times. You thought the times were going to be a little less crazy. You were wrong. They're even crazier.
No shit.
We're rounding the turn, by the way, the president said.
Oh, yeah.
They're rounding the turn on the
almost all the
virus. He
way.
really believes that. Although he could make an argument for that because of we actually have a vaccine, but or he could just disappear and say nothing, right?
I mean, even if he says something, no one's broadcasting it anymore. So.
No, is that true? Is he like? I'm trying to figure out when I'm watching the news. Like, is Trump just not speaking at all, or
I think he is speaking, but his press conferences are only being broadcast on like Newsmax and shit, right?
right? Because it's just all about the election being a fraud.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah. No one's giving
alternate
any
electors.
Time of day. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! All right, Aaron, let's get out. I gotta go.
Right.
I gotta go lay down.
You need a nap.
Oh my god! Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you guys coming in and stay safe, man. Make smart decisions. Try to avoid COVID. If not, I feel confident you'll be great. And everybody, thanks for supporting the podcast. And stay regular. All right? Yeah.